Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to go over 3 exercises that can be used in a class setting to help shut off that extension compression stabilizing strategy that we've talked about before. There's a lot of neat things that you can do one-on-one, but I've had a couple people ask me, how do they implement that with a whole CrossFit class or with a whole basketball team at a university? And so I just want to go over a couple exercises that you can start taking these athletes through, each getting progressively harder than the previous. So you can either progress an athlete all the way through them, or you could even have some of the athletes regressing back doing some of the other ones. The first one that we want to start with is going to be in this quadruped position, and we want to see, can the athlete even get into a hollow position? So the hollow position is when you have the lumbar spine fully rounded over, you're going to have the pelvis retroverted all the way, and this requires the erector spinae to relax as much as possible. You'd be shocked at how many athletes cannot do this even in an unloaded position here. So the first thing you want to do is, can they achieve that position? And you're going to walk around, and they're usually going to have most of their difficulty in the lower lumbar spine area. That's the part that's going to be locked up. And so you first can train them to do this. Then you could have them repetitively do this, maybe 10 or 15 times, where they're rounding over, intentionally trying to arc that lower back to get as much of a stretch as possible. When they're doing this, they can also think kind of crunch and pull their rib cage towards their pelvis to add a little bit of abdominal activity. So that's exercise 1. Can they achieve a hollow position there? And then you'll bring them through that repetitively. Once they have that down, now we can start adding breathing into this. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a pressurized hollow breathing in quadruped. And this is a great one that you can do as a warm-up. You can do it as a neurological reset after training to get the back shut off. Or you can actually integrate this in between their sets so that you can keep the back turned down if they're in the middle of doing, say, 6 sets of back squat or something. So this is a great exercise to kind of throw in there almost anywhere that you want. What we're going to do with that first is we're going to have AJ hollow over. He's going to get that rounded position. He's going to get a lot of abdominal activity. And now, when he breathes in, he's going to want to think about pressurizing the hollow and increasing the length of his lumbar spine here. So we'll have him go ahead. Good. Breathe in, pressurize, and now maintain that pressure, and then crunch the abs down as you breathe all the way out. Good. Let's go one more here. Pressurize, and then crunch. Abs, 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 abs. Breathe in, pressurize. Last one here. Breathe all the way out. Abs, 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 abs. Go ahead and relax. Now, the pressurizing part is so important because a lot of people, when they teach the hollow position, they're not pressurizing it. And that's not good, because you want to make sure that we keep the pressure in there because the diaphragm has to activate to pressurize the abdomen. There's no other muscle that can really generate that pressure in the abdomen like the diaphragm. So if you just crunch over and you have an unpressurized hollow, your abs might be on, the back might be a little bit relaxed, but you're missing the keystone of stability, which is that pressure in the abdomen. So you want to make sure that the athletes are really pressurizing that hollow as much as they can on the way in, and then crunching and trying to crunch and use the abs to pull into a hollow position on the way out. You might only do 3 breaths or 5 breaths in the beginning. When they get good at it, you should be able to hold this for 10 breaths without any difficulty at all, because the athlete will have the ability to just shut the erectors off and just maintain good diaphragmatic breathing. It's actually a very difficult exercise because most of us are back breathers. What I mean by that is when you take a breath in, most of us are going to arch the lumbar spine to lift the rib cage to expand the volume in the thoracic cavity to get air in the lungs. So when you have an athlete try to hold the hollow position, part of their brain is telling them arch the back to breathe in, when the conscious part of their brain is telling them, no, 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 keep it off, keep it rounded over. And many athletes will struggle with this. When you get them to be able to do this pretty easily, you'll find that those athletes, their backs won't get as tight after they're done training, and they'll have a much less risk of getting injured while they're training. So that's a really good one if you can get them to that. The next one that we'll do that you can actually just add a little bit of force is we're going to do a bear position. So you would start in that quadruped where shoulders are over wrists. Bring your knees up just a little bit. Good. Hips are over knees, and they're going to be on the balls of their feet here. What they're going to do is they're going to get into that pressurized hollow position, and then they're just going to lift their hips up just a little bit here. So you only have to come about this high up off the ground, but right away, that's going to make it much more difficult to hold that hollow. So he's going to need more pressure in the abdomen to stabilize this position. Go ahead and drop back down. Now, AJ's really good at this. So if we watch the curve of the lumbar spine here, you'll see once he gets that curve, when he lifts up and he adds force through the pelvis and the trunk, he doesn't lose that flexed position, that hollow position. So let's show him a good one. So when he lifts up, you'll see right here, he doesn't lose this, right? That means that he's able to stabilize his spine and his pelvis with pressure in the abdomen. Go ahead and relax. What most athletes will do is they might be able to achieve that hollow position when they're supported in this quadruped position, but the moment they come up, you'll see they'll lose it and they'll arch their back a little bit. It might not be as pronounced, but you'll see them, instead of going from a flex position, it'll flatten out a little bit. That's the erectors turning on to help stabilize the system. We want to train our athletes to be able to stabilize the spine and the pelvis with pressure in the abdomen with minimal to no activity of the erector spinae. Okay? So that's actually a very, very difficult exercise to do, but it's really powerful for shutting the back off. So this is a great one, like I said, to put in between squat sets or deadlift sets, even Olympic weightlifting. And it's also really good for athletes that have trouble with tight backs. Make them do this at the end of every training session so that you can neurologically shut those muscles back off again so that they don't stay tight all the time. So those are the three ones right there. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Thanks to AJ here from Endeavor Defense and Fitness, or CrossFit Endeavor, right? All right. Thanks, guys. First take. One take only, right? That's our rule.
One fucking take.